Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this video. So today what I want to go through is I'm going to tell you basically how we make 10K a day in our Shopify store. So when we started our business a few years ago now, we had zero idea of what we were doing. We had to figure everything out by ourselves. And using this technique that I'll share with you, we were able to gradually build from zero, from our kitchen bench, starting with vegetables from the local store, bottles from the local store, and distributing and delivering ourselves to now a big full-scale operation in our own warehouses with staff and everything like that. So everything I'll share with you now is a complete open book about how we now do 10K a day. And during our really, really busy times, that gets up to kind of 20 and 30. So there's some lessons here to be had. If you're looking for help with your e-commerce business in scaling and growing, we now do that whilst we've systemized and automated everything within our own business. So if you're interested in getting more help and you're serious about actually scaling up, then feel free to grab a time below in the description. I'll share a link. But for now, what I'll do is I'll just pull up the whiteboard with some notes. And I basically just want to really just dot point it for you because it really is this simple. And I hope that you can kind of see the simplicity in my explanation here once it gets underway. So basically, the parameters to make 10K a day. Now, between when we started and now, this is a real concept that we had to embrace, something called delayed gratification. I'm sure everybody's heard of what this actually means, but the difference between people actually understanding what it means and implementing it is completely different. All right. So this is something we had to really understand and implement ourselves and have a real mindset of that things don't happen overnight. Anyone who promises you that is lying or have had some absolute miracle happen to them. And to preface that, we have had days and instances where some sort of significant event, such as an influencer post or something significant has happened and our sales have, increased dramatically. But that doesn't just happen by chance. It's a whole heap of work that has actually been done prior to that is working up to that point. And so that's something that's changed for us from then and to now. We believe in the concept of doing the real hard work, laying the foundations and doing the grunt work that is necessary to reap the rewards. And where people actually struggle and where it's really difficult in your own business is there's no real assurance, that you're going to get there if you persist with some sort of technique or strategy, which, I'll share with some ideas. Obviously what we've done to hopefully give you some of that assurance as well. But as I say, this is something that really needs to be mastered before you even do anything, is that you are building something for the long term. Delaying your gratification and will really help with your journey to persist and push through, the really challenging times, but also, just really be disciplined and know you're on the right track. So that's the first thing to really note. And so when it comes down to daily activity, we could be implementing something today and not seeing the fruits of that labor for 2, 3, 6 months down the line, sometimes, years. So what we personally implement, here's some absolute just behind the curtain sort of stuff, right? From day one, we basically did our SEO, right? So we had that going. We didn't do it ourselves. We had a contractor who still does it to this day. And that's something that we've used as a really long-term play that has paid dividends for us. So if you've got a product that's relevant for SEO, that's something that's really done really well for us, okay? In terms of other organic activities, daily we are in our socials. We really grew a big following and a loyal following via basically just, hustling organic Instagram. And so that was basically just reaching out to people, building connections, talking to people about our product and our brand and things like that, and people just getting acquainted with us. So that was a real daily activity that we focused on to build our brand up. And what happened from there over the long term is that people started to notice us. They started to see us everywhere. And people still tell me, they say, oh man, I went on your website once and now I see everywhere in influencers' hands, and obviously, your ads follow me around and stuff like that. And so this is daily activity that builds up to this point. So organic, you've got obviously socials, you've got email marketing, you've got SEO, which is kind of paid, but it's an organic service and the organic strategy there. And then from a paid side, we took a little bit longer to get going than people might understand or realize. But we took a few years to get paid ads going. We wanted to make sure that we were purely up and going with a solid reputation, and that we were basically assured to get results. Now, the other thing was that we weren't actually sure how we were going to do this. We were kind of anti-agencies at a certain point in time where we couldn't justify the cost of hiring. And so we figured things out for ourselves. So the very first ads that we ran on Facebook and on Google were all sort of done by ourselves. And I can tell you that they were definitely sort of half-cocked attempts, but still, given the nature of our product and I guess the attractiveness, the program, the real leading edge niche, that they delivered great results. All right. And so once we were getting great results, just ourselves doing it, basically having no idea at the time, that's when we felt comfortable to employ somebody or an agency who was an expert at these things to just run with it. So that's basically what we have going on in the background. We've got our organic social activity, our email stuff, our influencer stuff, and then we've got paid, which is basically just Facebook and Google. Okay, so it's really, really simple. And anyone who overcomplicates it, is making things really hard for themselves and trying to maybe, sell you this thing of overcomplication and a particular strategy. But this is exactly what we do. So you can implement that and know that you're going to have long-term success, right? We're looking for that delayed gratification. And then so with any activity that we actually do, it's all about feedback and testing. Okay, so we want that feedback to tell us what's actually going on within, if I can get my mouse to work here, to tell what's going on with the activity that we're actually doing, right? So what we do is we basically, and that should be maybe flipped, what we do is we say, okay, let's try this for X amount of time, let's say 60 days daily, and let's test out what the actual results will be. So then we get feedback from that form of marketing or that form of activity, and we can make an assessment of whether that was effective or not, right? So same with our Facebook ads, for example. We put, let's call it $20, $30 a day. Let's say almost, let's not even touch it. Let's just see what happens for 60 days, reassess it at that point in time when it's had some budget, some spend, and see what happens from there. We came back and it basically had a 10x, return on our ad spend. And we said, great, this works, great feedback from the market, great feedback from our ads. Let's put more money in. And that is a proven strategy that we can then use and adopt and have in our arsenal to drive sales forward. So every activity that you do until it's done is never tested. It's never proven, but it's never disproven. Okay. So you need to have this attitude of let's try something, let's get the feedback and make an assessment. So for example, right now we're going through that with TikTok ads. It doesn't matter what we think, but we personally don't feel that is our demographic. But the conversation we're having is, hey, everything is proven or unproven until it is, right? Until we've tested it and got the feedback from the market. So let's put some budget into it. Let's give it X amount of time to prove itself, and let's assess the results from there. More often than not, we're actually proven wrong. Okay, so that's why we do these things with a very analytical hat on rather than an emotional hat. Okay, so that is a really important point, that anything you do, test and get feedback from it. Okay, and similar to delayed gratification, it's all about long-term versus short-term thinking. There's going to be things that give you short-term wins, but a lot of the time you're cashing checks for the future by the activity that you're actually doing. It's the longer-term strategy and growth that you're actually after. So have that in mind. Know that, as I say before, you're going to get that gratification if you're on the right track, you're getting the right signs, you're doing the testing, you're getting the feedback from the market and the platforms that you're actually using. And so over the long term, that's going to actually pay dividends. We can comfortably sit here now and say the work that we did years ago, such as the SEO, has really paid off now at this point in time. All right. So have that in mind. Have, on your left hand and right hand, looking at short-term and long-term strategies and what you can, make as sustainable as possible into your daily activities as well. And so that's basically, it. That's how we literally hit our first 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K months, and now doing, 300-400K a month. That is as simple as it actually gets. And so I hope that actually helps and clarifies some things for you in what you should be doing and how you can get to this actual level. Now, as I said, we help people do this, day in, day out to even hit their first 10K month, which is a massive milestone. But that's kind of, let's call it short term. And then if you delay your gratification even further and do the activities and the groundwork even earlier, then that's when you're going to start to see the fruits of that labor, when you're hitting 20 and 50 and 100K months. And so I really hope this video helps. It's just a short explanation of what we literally do. There's no almost hidden secrets. There obviously is technique and strategy behind these things, but essentially that's it in a nutshell. So I hope that helps. Any questions, let me know, but I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.